Hello, hello, good evening. Welcome to another live stream. It is 7:30 UK time on Sunday, the 3rd of May. Welcome. If it's the first time you've watched one of these back on YouTube or on Twitch as a post recording, or if you're joining the live stream live. I put out a community post earlier on saying there was some huge updates, which is true. It's not clickbait. I've managed to spend probably a good 20 odd hours last week on working on the game. I managed to get a couple of full days on it, which was great. And when I managed to do that, which is rare, things happen much quicker because I guess your head's in the game, and it makes it much quicker to do things when I'm not having to try and remember what I've done a few days beforehand. So yeah, I got a couple of days together that I'd managed to work on it for solid chunks of time. So got quite a lot to share on this live stream. So I think rather than just cracking on with bits of work, I was kind of do a bit of a retrospective on the things that I've done last week. Because I know quite a few of the people who follow the channel, especially on YouTube, are either making their own games or in the process of writing their own games, and I've found it interesting through the comments and things to find out about particular ways I'm doing things, and are just interested, which is fantastic, in how things are progressing. So there's a big list of stuff that I'd like to show you, to go through really. So from last Sunday, I finished the animation on the rooftop of Clive tripping and falling through the window. I actually then went on the next morning, I think on the Monday, to do quite a big bit of animation of his arrival through that window. I'm not going to show that final bit of animation, although it is entirely done, because it's kind of a pivotal bit in the game, and I think I should hold some things back. And that kind of leads me on to a release. There is no release date yet, but I have now actually set up the Steam ID for it, so I've decided I am going to release it on Steam. But that comes with lots of stuff that needs to be done as well. So that's kind of the theme of tonight, is now I've decided it's going to be Steam. That then comes with lots of things that need sorting out. So I've got to get some nice screenshots ready for that, a synopsis of the game, what it's about, that kind of thing, ready for the Steam page. My intention is, as most solo indie developers, to get that Steam page set up as soon as possible so that I can start getting it on people's wish lists, and using this stream and other things to try and get people to wishlist the game. So that's all challenging stuff, but it means that you need a really nice Steam page. So that means definitely good screenshots, definitely a trailer, and just a bit more polish on some of the things. So that has obviously then given me a big list of stuff that I need to try and get done. So that's kind of why I decided to knuckle down and get a few solid days on it. Mostly because if I'm going to capture a trailer, I want to be capturing kind of as good as final quality bits of that, or certainly as good as I can do with the time that I've got. So I want to take you through some of the things that I've added to make sure that those things can be seen in the game. So just as a quick rundown, that is, there's a new task system. So that's kind of like a task list that pops up for Clive with objectives, using the objective system in Adventure Creator. Notifications on those tasks, so when new tasks start and you complete tasks, kind of achievements, and they get crossed off the list and things like that. So I've got all that I can show you this evening. Bringing Tyler to life, because at the moment he's got a left and a right walk cycle and some idle stuff, but I'd not brought all of that together. And then I decided I also needed him to be kind of walking around the shop, doing things, going to different places, so that he feels like a live character that's doing things around the environment. So I've got some kind of randomised pathfinding set up for him as an NPC, so he can move around the place. So I'll show you a little bit of that. I decided as part of the narrative it was already going to be broken into 3 acts, and I've been talking about that on all of the other 32 streams. So I've now put some like act break screens in, the kind of thing you get on Monkey Island 2 where the act starts and you get a little title screen for the act. And I've kept them really simple, but I'll show you them, and they've actually been, now I've done them, I should have done them much earlier. They're really useful as places for me to jump off from in my testing. So if I'm wanting to just test Act 1, I can kind of load up the Act 1 title screen, and I've got some actions set in there to set some variables to the right things to make it easy to test Act 1. And then similarly, Act 2, Act 3, they've got their own title screens now that I can use as I'm bug testing to make sure everything's set up as it needs to be for the act I'm trying to test. So that's been super helpful. So I've done that as well. Not just that, but I've got a new, once I got the task system in place, I'd always thought about putting a 4th puzzle into the Act 2 chain of things. So I actually managed to do all of that as well. So I've introduced another puzzle to that chain where he's getting the shop ready for the inspection that's coming. So a completely new puzzle there with some of the items that I'd drawn but hadn't actually used. They were kind of like red herring extra items, but they were already pre-drawn as inventory items and things, and they were in a couple of the scenes. So they've been strung together into a really simple but nice new puzzle chain for Larry the Lino Lizard. So that's been done as well. So loads of stuff. And I'm going to kind of just step through a few of those things. I think starting first of all with the trailer. So I haven't got the trailer to show, but certainly my thoughts about that trailer. So this is kind of everything that I've talked about there that I've just been reading from. I'll show you a little bit of the animation from the rooftop, that little wavy thing again. But the ball pool thing, I might show you a frame or 2 of that, but that is like pivotal to the end of the game. The trailer stuff, let's start with that, the Steam stuff. So that inherently comes with all of these kind of requirements in my mind. If you're gonna put a Steam page out there and try and be gathering wish lists, I know I do when I'm seeing games that are coming soon or that are available to wishlist, I always want to watch the trailer. It's nice to see a couple of screenshots, and you have to have screenshots to be able to actually launch your Steam page. So there's a kind of this list of the stuff on the screen here is what I need to do. So because of the Steam page, I want to show some of the scenes in that trailer to show off the pixel art, so people who enjoy games of this particular visual style get an opportunity to show that off in the trailer. I want to show some of the funny dialogue lines again, so that potential customers, people who are going to wishlist it, get an idea of the comedy, get an idea of the kind of absurdity and silliness of this particular game, so they know whether it's for them. It won't be for everyone, but at least you can, in showing some of that dialogue, you get to see the main character, maybe a couple of the NPCs, to show that it's a game that's kind of alive, it's got these other characters and things like that. So it's so that when someone's watching this short trailer, they're ticking these things off, going, oh, I love the pixel art, I like that kind of style, that looks good. Oh, it's a funny game, I can see the kind of humours similar to like LucasArts kind of humour. That'd be my kind of bag, really. Getting to see the character, things like that, some animation. So I want to be able to kind of show that time and effort and care, attention has been put into the animating of the characters. So I'll probably show off a little snippet of one of the custom bits of animation, maybe when Clive's pulling back the slingshot in one of those puzzles. Again, just lets the customer know that, oh right, this is something that has got that kind of level of polish in it. Some UI interaction, so that again people know it's a point and click, dragging an item onto something to use something, getting a funny response, make sure that that's in the trailer. And then definitely some kind of sneak peek of the mystery, because the Steam page will explain what the premise of the game is, and this idea of the the cult, the custodians of carpet, like an underground cult. I've got to word all of that correctly, but the trailer needs to kind of hint at that and show a little bit of that, just so people understand as well, oh, there's a mystery here. It's not just about working in a carpet shop. So that's kind of got to sit in there. And then the big problem, I guess, is the last thing on this list is when I'm editing video or I'm making a trailer or something, I quite often like to cut it, edit it, the tempo of it to a piece of music. But then in this type of trailer, that piece of music is really instrumental in setting the tone of the game and what people might expect from the game. Like a really dramatic or a really kind of eerie mystery thing might not suit it unless it's been done tongue-in-cheek. So I've kind of got to make a decision about the music for the trailer, because I find if you make a trailer of all the visuals and then try and find some music for it, I find that much more challenging. And that kind of brings up the opportunity, if you watched, I think it was livestream 30, where I was writing some custom music with a bit of guitar and piano and things like that for some kind of tongue-in-cheek jingles in the shop. I've got to kind of make a decision whether I'm going to use them or not, because I'm still not totally happy with them. So I've got to kind of make a decision about that as I start pulling this trailer together. But aside from the music, all of these other things meant that I really needed to kind of knuckle down and get some of these things polished and done so that they can appear in the trailer, because at the moment there really isn't much UI, so I can't really show any UI interaction. I really wanted to get that task system done so people understand that that's part of the game as well. I wanted to see Tyler or a couple of the NPCs walking about the shop whilst Clive's doing something, so I needed to get that sorted out. And by completing the roof animation and things like that, then I got the opportunity to choose from some other bits of animation that I could use without spoiling any of the story. So there's a lot that's been driven by the decision, right, I'm going to put this out on Steam, I'm going to get the Steam page ready for wish lists. So it's kind of, that then causes this big list of things that needed doing. So I'll go back to my original list of things. I'll start, I guess I'll show a little bit of the rooftop animation that was finished off. Just so you get a sense of that. You can see where I was making the image for the community post on YouTube tonight. Let's see, what was it? Rooftop, wasn't it? I might have actually done it as a separate thing. Let me find that. It will have been in MISC. No, it wasn't. Did I actually do it on the rooftop location? I doubt that very much. This is the thing, it's getting quite big now. There's lots of different places. Oh, that was something else I did as well. I did more than I remembered. I set up some little blinking lights in the background in the city. So there's like little lights flashing on the top of buildings. You probably can't see that on the stream. Tiny little single pixel things just to bring kind of city skyline to life a bit. You can see like little room lights coming on and things. So that was one bit that I did. Turn everything back on in that scene. Oh yeah, it looks like I did maybe animate it in here. That's it. I animated the crack and things, but yeah, he's on a separate sprite sheet. So I decided to go with this banana skin in the end. I think I mentioned it towards the end of the live stream. Rather than just tripping on nothing, perhaps I was slipping on something, and that actually really helped me to animate the character quite nicely for that as well. So I did end up setting up this bit, which plays through. I think I exported them as two separate animations. So the banana skin kind of flicks up and out and skids onto the floor. So there's like a little skid as it skids on the floor. I mean, the player's focus is on the character who goes through the window, but yeah, I finished off all of that, all the glass falling through. So just little details like that all got done. And the actual animation of Clive, I guess, is because I just had it as a red outline, I think, in the last stream. So it will be in characters, I would think. Clive. No, look, this is bad organisation by me. Oh, roof trip. There we go. So, so there we go. Yeah, there's a couple of frames of that, and that kind of slip where his foot goes back here. That times nicely with the banana skin bit. And you can see his tie goes flying backwards, and he kind of goes head first through the window. And you can see he gets cut off there by the edge of the scene. There's the backdrop. So I kind of started setting that up on the live stream, and I've now kind of finished that to final quality. And it's really quick in the game. It happens really quickly, and you can see the difference in the lighting as well. Once that sprite's in the scene, it gets lit by the Unity scene lights as well, so he's more yellow as he comes towards it. And then actually I did a animation of the light getting brighter as well, so I set up a little script to turn on another light as soon as he smashes through the window, so the brightness from inside gets even brighter once the window goes through, so that looks quite cool as well. So yeah, all of that rooftop stuff got done and finished off, and then I even went as far as doing the ball pool like splashdown bit as well, but that was quite a bit of animation. I'm really pleased with the way that turned out. Like the balls scatter everywhere, and then I had to set up some other special bits of animation where he re-emerges out the ball pool and the balls kind of scatter around him as he comes out and then realises what's happening, but that's all spoiler stuff. So I'm not going to show any of that on the stream. You'll have to get the game for that. I might put a snippet of it in the trailer just because it's quite an exciting bit. But yeah, that involved me having to set up some quite complex things, so I'll maybe go through that in another stream. But moving on to the next bit that I carried on with, it was, just remind myself, the task system. Yeah, so again, really chuffed with this. This is just what happens when you get to spend loads of time on it consistently. I ended up managing to get this whole new task system set up. So if I just show you, I'm tempted to do a tutorial on this actually, because I've not seen many people talk about how to do this in Adventure Creator, and frankly I didn't know how to do it. I literally went back to the manual of Adventure Creator and looked at their objective system. I couldn't even find it originally. Hello there, Salhack77. Thank you very much for the nice comment and welcome to the stream. I don't think you've been on before. And yeah, thanks for the kind words. It's looking nice now. It's taking its time, but it's getting there. But I do appreciate that. So yeah, the objective system, I'd never used it. I thought about using it on another game and didn't quite see how it was going to work for me on the other game. But on this game, there's some very specific objectives that Clive needs to do. And in a couple of minutes, I'll play through from Act 2, and you can see one of the act holding screens here. I've decided just to go for a pivotal item from each scene as the kind of title screen for each act. In this case, a slice of pizza. But this objectives panel, I didn't even know where it was. It was like on inventory. It's so often I'm on the items section here. I never really look at these other, it's kind of under inventory. There's like properties for inventory. I've never really looked at these crafting because I don't do crafting in the games I do, but that'd allow you to combine items together and craft things, or have a cooking section and things like that. And all these, I mean, Adventure Creator's got loads of stuff for different types of games in, but I don't tend to use them. And objectives it's kind of like a quest log, if you like, where you've got to do a certain thing, and you can then let the player know that they need to do those things, and then you have to, or you get the opportunity then to tell them that they've completed each of those things. And it seemed like overly complex for what I wanted to do, but actually when I thought about it, I basically wanted Clive to have a little handwritten list of things you need to do, so that it just reminds the player once they start clocking up 3 or 4 different things in a point and click adventure. It's sometimes useful to have that list, and it's also particularly useful from a story beat point to be able to go, all right, we've just done something in the scene, we need to let the player know that that means they have to go and complete this task. And in Act 2 there are these 4 like tasks he has to do, which link to the story. He finds out that he's got a nomination for Manager of the Year, so he needs to get the shop ship shape before they turn up in a couple of days' time. So you've already seen a couple of problems in the story. The front door's squealing horrifically when the delivery driver arrives, so delivery driver even says, oh, you have to get that sorted, so you've preempted some of these tasks. And then he gets this little task list given to him. So the objectives, you can set up an objective like fix the squealing door, and then you can set up states for it, and it comes with 2 states, started and completed. And I can then hook into those with a user interface element, and that it comes with one actually. If you go to menu, there's one called, it was called objectives, I think, but I've renamed it to tasks because, well, it's a shorter word. I don't have to type it as often, but it was just easier for me to remember it. So this is the kind of UI that I've created, again in the same pixel art style. If I go back to a sprite, somewhere in here there should be, it's not in my recent files because I've been doing so much that the recent files keep changing. So UI, main UI. Yeah, so I've been drawing quite a few bits of new UI. So there's this little notepad with the pencil on and things like that, and a little thing we talked about on another stream from the 80s. It was a spray paint like thing called Kilroy, I think it was, would peep over walls. So Clive's just scribbled that on the bottom of his notepad. So this is like a background UI that I can then put a dynamic text on top of it when you get new tasks added. And then there's this little icon. This is what it looked like originally. That was my kind of placeholder icon. And then once I decided to have this nice background, I've created a little icon that goes up in the top corner that illuminates when you get a new task. The name of the task pops out. You can click on that, it's a button, and it brings up the main UI, pauses the game and reminds you of the tasks, and there's even a description of what the task is. So all really good stuff in terms of user experience, because you're keeping the player up to date with what they're needing to do. But it also serves as like a narrative thing, that Clive's like an organised, kind of boring, middle-aged guy, and he's written a list of the things that he needs to do. So it works quite nicely in both areas. So this, as I say, I think I'll probably do a proper tutorial about this, but I've just took the default objectives menu that comes with Adventure Creator and just customized it to fit what I needed, because you can have an unlimited number of objectives, and the default UI comes with like a page up and page down buttons, an icon for each objective, a section which tells you which state you're in. So if it was a longer quest, like I think the example Chris gives in the manual for Adventure Creator is like, the main quest might be you got to slay the dragon, but you've got these 3 or 4 other steps in between. You've got to find the sword, and then once you've found it, you've got to pull it out of the stone or whatever. So you've got these sub objectives. I don't need all of those. My game's not that big. It's not that like involved, each of these objectives. So a lot of that UI that comes as default, I've just hidden it, or I'm not showing it. So it comes with all of these different elements, like the title, which I think I am using, which is Clive's task list. The objectives themselves, you see it's just highlighted there. And I've set it to a maximum of 4, because you only ever have 4 objectives during this act. And it displays all of them. So I just set up all of these things and some like sizing to get it all nice and neat on that background. But what I have got is like the little description area here as well. So these were already set up so that each one of the objectives has a description. So the like selected description box. It's all dynamic. It's all driven by, if you go to the inventory section and objectives, each of these, like fix squealing door, this state started. If I make that bigger, see this description section here. The front doors have developed a terrible screeching sound. I need to find a way to stop it. So you can put in a little description for every one of these, like hide hole in carpet. The carpet in the office has a huge hole in it. I need to find a way to cover it up. And then the completed state has a different description. So once it's completed, the description says, I've cunningly hidden the hole with a plant. Nobody has ever thought of that before, because in trying to solve that puzzle, you realise every plant in the shop is covering a hole in the carpet. So that's part of the humour of that particular puzzle chain. So this has been really, really helpful. The default objectives menu, one, taught me how to use it. Literally last week, I did not know how to do the objectives thing at all. And now I've got a fully working kind of task list, objective pop-ups and things like that. So the pop-ups are done, and I'll show you how it all comes together in a second. The pop-ups are done through a menu that, again, already existed. It's called Task Pop-Up. I think it was called, what was it called before? Oh no, actually I might have created this one because I got like brave as soon as I was like, all right, I understand how this works now. And you can then set up an action for whenever an objective is started. If you've watched my tutorial, if you haven't, go and have a watch the tutorial called Global Domination. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's how to use the Global Events Manager to basically control loads of bits of the game in like single events and things. Like really powerful. Couldn't have done this without it. But that task pop-up, what actually happens in the global events editor, you can then set here when a task is started or a task is completed. So anywhere in the game, I can basically start one of those tasks, and then this little actions ran. So it basically plays this little sound of a pencil writing the task, like a little scribbling sound. It turns on the task button at the side, the one that I told you can access, the that little one there, I showed you there, that turns on that so you can see it. It then pops up here the task pop-up menu. So that's the one that is just this little label in the top corner of the screen, the one I've got selected there, task pop-up. So this pops onto the screen and it dynamically puts the name of the task. So it pulls it out of the parameter list for the different tasks and shows it on the screen for 2 seconds, and then it turns it off again. So it's just like a little pop-up at the side. So that can just be reused, the action, anytime I start a task. It'll automatically grab the task name and pop it onto the screen. So that was really powerful. And same with task completed, it does exactly the same. But it then adds a couple of other things in there as well. What does it actually do there? Oh yes, so it's counting up how many tasks, and that green box is adding 1 to the number of tasks completed in Act 2, because as soon as you get to all the tasks completed, that signifies the end of Act 2, and depending on what order the player has done them in, because you could do them in a different order, that's when Act 2 ends. So I had to set that up because it's well, it's variable. It's what you want these kind of games to be. So all that's happening is it increases the value by 1, and then it runs this other action list, which basically says if they've just completed one task, then Clive says, great, that's one of my tasks done. If another one's done, he goes, oh, another one's complete, and then just one more task to go. That's it. I think I've got everything. I think I deserve a break after that, and it fades out, and then we're ready for the next act. I haven't linked it up to the next act yet, but that's just for testing. So yeah, all of that to do with objectives. I'll show you how that works out. And what I'm going to do here, actually, coming on to my next point that I mentioned, I think it was the next point. Oh no, it's down here, act break screens. So I mentioned at the start of this stream, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. I recommend that everyone do this, because most of these kind of adventure games split into a few acts. Make a kind of title screen, even if it's just a bit of text, but make it a totally separate scene in Unity and have it as almost like a bookmark between the other bits, because then they're great places to jump off from, where you can set a load of variables and you can set things up for the next scene. maybe get rid of some inventory items you don't need, have it as an actual place where you kind of do some working in the background to make sure that the player experience is better in the next act. So I did that and decided for the style of it, what I wanted to do is take as I said earlier, a pivotal item, and I've just redrawn some of the items that are used in that as the kind of act break, and I've just done just a little bit of polish. I've got this little scene light. I think you've seen me working with the scene lights where I light all the pixel art with these little scene lights. It's kind of up here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, so it's this little scene light here, and it's very subtle. If I make that a bit brighter, you can see it. But I move it down onto the item. I've made it really bright so you can see it. Just with a little bit of animation. So it's got a tiny little animation clip on it. Not sure where it is, but well, oh, animated spot. I'm looking at the wrong thing, that's why. So this little spotlight basically lowers itself down over the item, and I've just got that set up in each of the scene title ones, or the act title like scenes, and they all share a little action list which prepares all the things that are the same at the end of every act, and then I just add the extra things that are specific to the act. So I'm going to run it from here so you can see the little act break, and we'll go into Act 2 where Clive turns around after you've got into the computer, and then he's suddenly kind of driven to get these tasks done. So he introduces the tasks to the player. We use the task pop-up system that I've just gone through there to show the player all of that, and we even bring up the UI which gives them all the tasks. So if I click play on here, that's kind of where this is going to run from, hopefully, if I've set this up right. So there's, see, as the act comes down, it lights this, you get a little shadow across it, just looks nice. It fades out, and then we come into Act 2, and here he is. Wow, Manager of the Year nomination. That's a big deal. Right, I better get this place shipshape before their visit. So he looks in the direction. I should start by sorting out that screeching front door, because you've seen it earlier on in Act 1. The delivery driver mentioned it. And that big tear in the carpet by the desk, because that's kind of been mentioned as well earlier on. So you know you've got two things to do. So as you move on here, you'll see the pop-ups. I'll make a list. So you get the little scribble sound. Starts two tasks. You see the little icon, and it automatically pops up his little task list. And then you can kind of hover over these. You can click on either of them, and it tells you what you need to do. The carpet in the office is a huge hole in it. You need to find a way to cover it up. Fix squealing door. The front doors have developed terrible screeching sound. I need to find a way to stop it. So you've got this. You explain to the player how they're going to use this. You click on close. You can see the little icon up there now. You can click that to bring that up at any point. So you've got some little sound effects that play there as well, and like little paper sounds and things. So that introduces the whole concept of it. Yes, the font Selhack, that is, it is cool. It took me a while to kind of find one that I really liked that felt retro but fun, wasn't too difficult to read, because that's one of the other things as well. And on this live stream as well, you're not quite seeing it full resolution because it's within the screen and everything else. But when it runs at, well, whatever resolution really, it does look really nice. And all the pixel art as well is set to not blur when it gets scaled up. So it all looks great at other resolutions as well. So I'm really chuffed with this. Like personally, it was complete, like as a lot of this game has been, new learning experience for me. I had not done these kind of objective systems. I had not kind of set up those things before. What I can show you, I haven't got anything in the inventory, but so when you go through these plant puzzles and he goes, and what you're doing, oh, this would be perfect for covering up the carpet tear by my desk. So he bends down and picks it up, and then he finds there's another hole underneath that one. Would you believe it? Someone's already hidden a tear with this one. Can't use this one, so he puts that back, and there's other plants around the place. So what I'll do is I'll just, I'll quit that, and we'll come out. Oh, I didn't do that on purpose, but that works nicely. It's the other thing that I've started adding some other pixel art menus. So I've got rid of the default menus, And this is all coming back to the fact that I want to get this trailer done, ready for the Steam page. And I want the trailer to show, like, I guess the care, attention and time that's going into this game. So little things like menus like that are all like in the style of the game. We've got unrolled bits of carpet and things like that, and it's all kind of branded as the game should be. But what I was going to show you is when I complete a task, excuse me, got a sore throat. We were out partying last night. It was my wife's birthday and we were all in Manchester with lots of friends, and it was a heavy and late night, and I've just got back and I'm feeling it now. But there's commitment. I still came and did the live stream. So what I'm going to do is give Clive an item to solve that carpet tear puzzle, so you can see how that works as well. So I'm just going to go over to inventory, find items, and I want to give him the plant that he needs, so the fake plant. I'm just going to click on that and say carry on start. Let's just run it again. I'll skip the bit where he's talking. Oh, this is a bug, by the way, that, see, the carrier bag keeps flashing up. I know why it is, I just need to go and fix it. So I can skip this with escape, and it goes through to this bit where you've got your tasks and everything. You've had your tasks pop up. You can click them just as we did before. But I've now given Clive the thing he needs to solve that puzzle. I'm talking about him like he's a real person. So I've actually got the right plant now, so I can click and drag that. Oh, I fixed that as well. It doesn't seem like much to other people, but for ages I've been wanting to fix when you click and drag something out of the inventory, it automatically closes the inventory because it wasn't doing it before. So I've set up a hidden, thanks to Chris, the guy who writes Adventure Creator. He did send me a reply ages ago, and I didn't get around to replying to him about how to do that. There's a fake inventory hover that's hidden. Well, it's visible all the time. It's there all the time, but invisible. So when you click and drag something outside of it, it turns off the inventory, which is great, so it means the inventory closes itself. This is the other issue I've got to get around. Can you see the plant is rendering in front of the text? And it's because I'm using software rendering on these items. But yeah, I need a way to bring that text in front of it. But yeah, I still haven't worked out how to get that fixed. But if I drop that anyway on the ruined carpet, this will solve one of those tasks, and you'll see what happens when you solve a task. So if I drop that on there, this should hide that ugly tear nicely. And you get a little fanfare, it pops out, you hear the pencil writing, it runs that script, checks how many he's done. He says, great, that's one of my tasks done, gets done. And because the task popped out from there, the user can then click on that, and you can see it's actually crossed off. And when you click on it, well, it already says it, I've cunningly hidden the hole with a plant. Nobody's ever thought of that before. And you've got this little crossed out done thing through it, which is just another UI element. And there's 4 of them, and they're there all the time. They're just hidden. And then I just check which task he's completed, 1, 2, 3 or 4, and then I cross them out. What did dawn on me today when I was making the drive back from Manchester is if they've picked, there's 2 tasks they can pick up in a different order. They get these 2 together, and then they get 2 other ones. And it's just dawned on me, if they get the 4th one before the 3rd one, then when I reveal the done thing, it's going to be the wrong one. So I need to think of a solution to that. And I think I know how I can do that, but I will have to see. But yeah, that is pretty much working. That's how that all works. You get a little audio, like little fanfare, like you're done, and then you can see which bits you've ticked off. So that is the objective and task system, which is all completely new. Didn't exist on Monday. Didn't exist on Tuesday. In fact, it got completed kind of Wednesday or something like that. So all completely new and all part of kind of getting things ready for a trailer. So you've seen one of the act break screens as you're all very thankfully following the channel and following progress. I'll give you a peek at the others as well. So there is Act 2 title, which is the one you've seen with the pizza slice in it. There is the Act 1 title, which is the computer cable, because it's Act 1's called Computer Says No, because you're trying to log into the computer in the first act, and this cable is kind of the pivotal thing because Tyler's blown a fuse in the kettle because he's borrowed the PC cable for it, and there's things you've got to fix, so that's kind of a pivotal item in it. And then as you get into Act 3, where the mystery kind of reveals itself, the Act 3 title is one of the masks, one of the carpet sample masks that the cult wear on their faces. So that's like a little nod to what's coming, because you've seen one of these masks, or a collection of them actually, just at the end of Act 2. So when Act 3 starts, like everything to the player is like, oh, this has gone a bit weird. There's like a cult operating from this secret bunker. So as you go into Act 3 and head to Funky Monkeys, this is the pivotal item, the mask, I suppose. So yeah, they're all drawn as well, so I'm really chuffed I got them done. And as I said, they're now functioning as really helpful testing things while I'm bug testing, because I can now jump to that act, and then there's lots of actions that get run that check things and get things ready for the next act. So they've been super helpful, the act breaks scenes. We've gone through objectives, I've talked about that, I've showed you a bit of the rooftop, I've teased but not showed you the ball pit. Done the task notifications. So bringing Tyler to life, this was the next bit. So when we walk out of here, once you start doing those Act 2 tasks, Act 2 tasks, Tyler by this point has gone to open up the shop. So this is by no means complete, but you can see where I'm heading with this. Now you come in here, Tyler's here, and I've got his like idle animations. He's kind of typing on a keyboard. He's like fiddling with this computer. You've got the opportunity to speak to him. At the moment he just says, hey Tyler, but he walks off now. So he heads off round the shop. So this is something I need to do with customers as well. Oh, and here's something else. Look, he's just noticed that this is dripping. So this is another task that you're not aware of. So there's another thing I have to fix before this visit. The aircon unit on the ceiling's leaking. Tyler just wanders past. The pigeon that hit it, because that's all in Act 1. So you get given another task, repair the leaking aircon. So you can see that gets added to the bottom, and the aircon unit on the shop floor is leaking. I need to stop the leak. So all of that's now built into the task system, which is great because now it's built. I can just use it for as many tasks as I like. But this thing that Tyler's doing now, he's walking around different places, like looking about, heading back to where he was. He kind of types for a bit, heads off to different places, gets his phone out, like starts fiddling on his phone. So I've kind of started breathing some life into him as the kind of main other character. And he's basically got different places he goes to in the shop and looks at things and does things because he's stock checking or whatever a junior in the shop does, mostly just looking at his phone, to be totally honest. But there's going to be some other customers dotting about doing that type of thing as well. And then when I set it up, when I speak to Tyler, I've just clicked on the laminate flooring. I might need to move that because I click on that all of the time, that laminate floor bit. When you speak to Tyler, there'll be the opportunity to discuss some of the weird things that are going on. So Tyler will be there as a bit of a sounding board as well. There'll be moments where I don't want the player to speak to him because I want them to like work things out. And in those moments, what I'll do is this random behaviour that Tyler's got of going around looking at different things, I'll stop that behaviour by sending a variable to his little behaviour tree and have him talking to a customer, so that when Clive or the player wants to go and talk to Tyler, he'll be busy with the customer. And then there's a pivotal bit of the story where the weird customer, if you've been watching some of the live streams, this is the customer who comes in taking his goldfish for a walk. So he's got a goldfish bowl with him and he's wearing sandals and he's a general weirdo. You end up talking to him because Tyler's busy with another customer, and that's kind of pivotal to what happens in the story. So all of that bit's done. Oh, there's the screechy door. So this was set up quite a while ago, but the automatic door that screeches, and then you can kind of fix that once you've got to the end of that puzzle chain as well. But that's one of the puzzles, the fixed squealing door one that needs completing in this act. So yeah, loads of stuff done there, and this is just the start for kind of that behaviour, bringing some of these to life. when I capture the trailer and I try and get like some funny dialogue out of Clive on a capture. Maybe it's this bit, the Lino Lizard was Larry the Lino Lizard. Gives you an idea of some of the humour in it, and the fact that there's dialogue everywhere in it, little funny bits of dialogue. To have him walking past, to have customers browsing and looking at things, it just gives people a sense of like the kind of like game and style that they're going to get. There may even be some occasions during the later bits of the story where Tyler's in the office instead, be tapping at that computer or something like that. And yeah, that is kind of a work in progress really, but I'll just show a little bit of how Tyler is managed. Again, might put a little tutorial together, because I've not been doing tutorials as much just because they take much longer to do. One, I've got to record them rather than just hitting live stream and chatting to you all. I've then got to edit them and then make thumbnails that work and everything else. So it takes a lot more effort, time that at the moment I'd rather be spending getting the game moved along. But these two things in particular, the objectives task list and this kind of human-like behaviours for the characters, I think are both really useful tutorials. I would have loved a tutorial on the task list thing. That would have been really, really helpful. So I might well make them. But if I go to Shop Floor Act 2, what I've now got in here, I mean, there's already loads of these green marker 2Ds everywhere that are all of the different places that Clive stands when you click on something. What I've got is there's basically a set of them for Tyler that he can go to. So they're in navigation, markers. So there's Tyler Carpets, Tyler PC, Tyler Runners and Tyler SoSoft. So he's actually got these kind of 4 locations, or 3 in the computer, that he kind of goes around. And the way that I set that up, where did I set that up? Where did I put it? I didn't put it on Tyler. When the scene starts, bum, bum, bum. Where did I put that? Oh, this is the new puzzle I'll talk about in a minute as well, called the Stinky Lino puzzle. That gets triggered as well at some point in there. But Tyler's walk thing, let's just concentrate on that. Where did I add his behaviour into? I want to put it directly on Tyler, I doubt. I would have thought it's in the... Oh, I know, it's in a cutscene here. So Tyler moving around, they call them cutscenes in Adventure Creator, but they're not necessarily a cutscene, like the whole game stops. You can stop the whole game. In this case, when running, it's set to run in background so that it doesn't pause the game. There's options there, like pause the gameplay, but this runs in the background all the time. It gets triggered as soon as you come into this scene. Once we've checked that we're in Act 2, which we should be, because this is the Act 2 version of the shop. There's an Act 1 version of the shop without the other NPCs and all the other detail and complexity that's in this act. And somewhere up here, we just set him off. There we go. So we run an action list called Tyler Moving Round, which is action list, cutscene, the words used interchangeably. What it does is basically have Tyler start off in his location, plays idle animation, then he drops into this chain where he waits for a couple of seconds, and then he plays his fumble animation where he's actually looking at his phone. I'm reusing that animation where he's kind of like looking down things, using a few frames of that, and then it waits for a couple of seconds, and then it comes up here, and this is, I guess, the randomizer. There's basically 3 possible values. It runs in a sequence, and then as it steps through, the next time it comes through this, it runs the next one, and the next time it comes through, it runs the next one, and then every time one of them finishes, it shoots it back to here, so it's getting passed back through here, and it just runs on a loop. So it goes that location, that location, that location, and then that can be randomized depending on which one you come out of. I sometimes send them into a different one so he can walk from one to the other. And I could randomise it as much as I wanted to, really. There's just when he arrives in an area. So here he's arriving at, where's he arriving there? At the carpet. In that case, I want him to face up. He looks left, he looks right, and he faces up. And he plays his little fumble animation because I've got like one from behind as well. So he's got all of those like little behaviours that are getting randomised. He's getting sent to different places. So it looks super complex, but it isn't really. He's just 3 or 4 different places he can be and things that he does when he gets to them. And it just feels like it's much more alive. Similarly, there's a character that he's speaking to later on. And I think now that I've set that up, I feel like I'm going to add a couple of other customers that are just customers, and they might bring out some funny bits of dialogue and things like that. It'd be really nice for them to be leaving the shop, like someone comes walking in and things like that, but I don't want the player to get too caught up with those customers because they're kind of nothing to do with the story. These 2 customers are the core parts of the story. There's your guy with the fishbowl. Turns out not to be a fish. You can see it broken there on the floor because that happens later on as well. So those behaviour things there all set up and starting to work quite nicely. Really sore throat, cup of tea, you know. Oh, the Larry the Lino Lizard puzzle. I won't reveal the solution to it, but ultimately, at a certain point in the game, I set a little trigger when they've completed a couple of the tasks and the player feels like they're getting to the end of their task list. And then when they come back into this room, there's like a horrible smell over by the lino, and there's a load of flies that are flying around it. There's a little animation of these flies going around it and things. So they've got to kind of locate where the smell's coming from, work out why, and then get rid of it all. So there's a new task that wasn't there last week as well, just to kind of flesh out this section. Just open this up. In that Act 2 chain, we've got a branching 3 tasks here that have all got stars on. Hide the torn carpet, fix the squealing door, fix the leaking aircon, with all the things you need to do to fix those puzzles before you get into the next bit of narrative. And it's this red line here where I was like, Stinky Lino, maybe we add the extra task in there just to flesh out Act 2 and give people a couple of more things to be working on at the same time. So that's done now, and there's a trigger to set that up. To the little task pops up, it goes onto the task list and all that kind of thing. So really chuffed with all of those bits as well. So I think that was everything on the list, was it? Yes, yep, it was. So I don't know why it says real-time dev. Oh, I know why. It's because I copied and pasted this out of the live stream description today before I started the live stream. So they're kind of all of the things that have got finished, which is fantastic. And I feel like I'm much closer to feeling comfortable about doing a trailer for it. But that kind of elephant in the room, if you like, is the music to set the tone. I've got those jingles that I wrote. I really like the adverts. I really like the they're like kind of tongue-in-cheek piss take adverts that play in the background of the shop as if they're coming through like a crappy speaker, and they're funny in their own right, and they've got the little jingle or the end of the jingle on it. And that was a jingle that I wrote on guitar and piano and stuff. But I'm not I don't think I want that to be the music for the game. I like the radio advert, and I think that's where the jingle belongs. I started at the weekend playing with a kind of a retro sounding, like not quite chiptune, but that kind of like Commodore 64 emulator type sound chip stuff with the same tune, but I just don't, I'm still not sure if I want it to sound like that. Every time I play there was a bit of music I got. I didn't get a copyright strike, but I got a notification of copyright after that live stream 30 because I played something on it, which I only played a little bit of it as well. It shows you how good the YouTube system is for picking it up. And I had mentioned who it was. I've put it underneath the video because it is a royalty-free piece of music. You're allowed to use it, but I was meant to attribute it when I was doing the live stream. And whenever I listen to those couple of bits of music that are there, they feel like the right tone. They're like a bossa nova, like kind of like a lounge jazz type, tongue-in-cheek feel to them that I really like. And I've got to decide whether the trailer's going to have that feel to it, or whether I want maybe some of the adverts or one of the adverts, or I write a new like fake shop advert as part of the trailer. Oh, maybe that's an idea. Maybe the trailer is a Floor for You advert. I hadn't thought of that, because then that would be quite funny actually. So maybe I make like a game trailer that shows all the stuff I was talking about at the start of this stream, so people who like this type of game get a good idea of what they'd be buying, so they can stick it on their wish list. But maybe there's one that's like a fake advert for the flooring shop. That might be good, like a breaking the fourth wall, like a meta style advert. Anyway, I'll have a think about that. That'll get me thinking, because that might mean I could use that really corny Floor for You music as part of that. Anyway, I'll have a think about that. So yeah, that is where we stand at the moment. Quite a few new things done. One of the UI things actually that I was starting on and didn't, you might have spotted it when I brought this up. I was thinking about having the inventory kind of on a roll of carpet at the bottom, but I wondered whether it's maybe just going a bit too far, especially with like bringing this blue colouring from the Floors for You brand through to it. It's quite a big item, that, and it'll maybe take away from the little pixel art items as well. So I'm not totally sure about whether I'm going to put that in or not. I don't know if I actually looked at it. Have I exported it? Let's go and see in Unity, because I think that was something I was thinking of doing the last time I was working on it. So let's just go to menus, inventory, not inventory button, blindness for certain words, inventory, there it is. So I'll stick it in game view. Oh, that's strange. Oh, it's not. What happened is, years ago when I used to use Adventure Creator the first time, I don't think it had Unity UI prefabs. It was all like Adventure Creator custom UIs, and I've used them for a lot of things, like the task system I showed a minute ago, the main menu system. They're all Adventure Creator UIs, but the inventory is using an actual canvas GUI, this thing here. So it's an actual Unity UI canvas. And whilst I've done a lot of Unity development over the years, I really don't like their, or really, it's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. My mind just doesn't kind of work this way. I find it really frustrating to get hold of the thing that's nested, like the bit that I want to change, like the panel, which is the background panel that they all sit behind. So if I make it red, you can see. It's kind of that where I would like to put this UI, like graphics asset. So that source image there, that is where I would imagine it goes. It would need to be white so it's not getting coloured. Did I export inventory back? That's it there, yeah. So there was the graphics asset. You can see it now sat behind there. But we've got all of the things that I'm concerned about. So firstly, it's being bicubic sampled, so it's going all blurry. So if I go and find that asset, yeah, it's got bilinear filtering. So if I go point in none, and I don't compress it because these are tiny bits of pixel art, like 288 by 41 pixels. Apply that, gets rid of all the blurring, but it's the scaling of it that I'm concerned. I'm now going to, if I try and scale this, because the panel is the parent of the button shifts, the left and right UI things, the grid are all kind of children of the panel. I'm just not confident with getting this the right size for it to look right. Like, first of all, I would, if this little carpet thing is going to stay at the right hand side, I don't want it at the left because that's where the open button is for the UI. Oh, unless, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I could have the carpet roll out. Then it wouldn't have to be a graphic. It could actually just be a unit UI element that when you open the inventory, it goes and opens up like a little roller carpet. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, Andy, why do you do these things? Let me... Yeah, if it's sat the other side, then the inventory button could actually sit on the roll. So if this was flipped the other way, and then the carrier bag, the little items carrier bag sat on there, and then it could like roll out when you clicked it. Or could even get rid of the carrier. I like the carrier bag because I think it's just funny. And this could have a little sign on it that said items, and you clicked it and it rolled out. Right, I'm going to do something silly in the middle of a live stream. I'm going to try and do something that I have no idea how to do. Let's learn together. Let's see if we can fathom how this might work. So I could, how could I do this? Just chop that out as a separate asset. Can I do that with a slice over another slice? Let's find out. No. Can't slice inside a slice. No worries. What we'll do is just copy the asset. So get that out of there. Create a new layer. Close some of these. I didn't color coordinate all of these by the looks of it. Inventory. I'll just call this small roll. Let's paste it onto that layer. Just want to get this asset out as it is like that, and then we can have a play with it. Might even flip it so the dark side. Yeah, I might do that. Let's flip that. It's gone over there. Yes. Handy. Not handy. Yeah, and the dark side's at the left. Let's have it like that. Let me just stick a slice around it. Select that slice, go to options, call it small roll. Okay, let's export that. Export as a small roll UI. Just that visible layer, all frames. Going into the UI, let's call it small roll UI. Export. Right, it's over Unity. Let's go and get that asset. I'm thinking at the same time as I'm doing this. This could just be. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a design change. What I'm concerned about, the thing I'm thinking through in my head is, in most scenes, the carrier bag just sits in this corner. Click play and show you what my thought process is here. So the stuff bag that you click to bring up the inventory, you can see now it's got that carpet roll in the background. It's semi-transparent. It doesn't kind of visually get in the way. It was actually, I think, on one of the live streams, one of the guys on the community had said something about Tesco carrier bag or something funny. So that's a nice idea, like a Tesco carrier bag, which is called stuff. I've just picked up a new task. Look, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, repair leaking aircon unit. So that is now task 1. It would never be task 1 because in the story you'd be given the other 2 tasks. But yeah, I do need to think about the bugs there. Yeah, so if that carpet roll, that's obviously still being stretched, that UI asset is being stretched hugely. If that was always there in the bottom corner, I'm just wondering whether it is kind of visually in the way. I could make it semi-transparent just like that is. I could make it a little bit smaller. This is probably going to trigger a cutscene. No, it's not going to trigger a cutscene there. But usually the bottom left, I've kind of kept it free of really important things. I don't think it ever gets in the way of something. And just visually, that big carpet chunk might look weird. But I'm willing to try it out, see how it looks, because I kind of do. I think it might be quite cool if it does roll out. It might just be a nice little animated element. It shouldn't be too annoying if it happens within a second, that every time you open the inventory it goes and comes out. So let's think about that. I could just replace the button, one that's currently a carrier bag. Let's go, it's called inventory button. Got the game view so we can see it. There it is down there. The stuff bag. So it's just got a background and a highlight. So it's not so much like a hover. The background one stays there, I seem to remember. So I'd have to create a version in here that was semi-transparent as well. What's going to happen here is I haven't got enough space on this canvas. Let's just make this a bit bigger because the total size doesn't matter. Canvas size. Let's just extend it out. Okay. Move this down here. Move the small roll down there. So because it's actually a sprite replacement, I need like a semi-transparent version as an actual sprite. There's probably a better way to do it, but Adventure Creator set up so that you provide 2 different sprites. So a small roll, transparent. I'm literally just going to use the opacity on there because I kind of don't want it to be like right in your face all the time. And I might put like a little, this little sign here. Oh, I've just moved that. This little sale sign that's on the pause menu when you pause the game. That could have like a little items sign on it instead. Let's just do that. Let's see how it looks because I like the idea. Got lazy and didn't name some of these. Right, now the 2 bits of tape. That's the logo. That's the sign. So we want all of them. Let's just duplicate them. Pop them under all of that. Group them. Sign. Turn off auto select layer and drag that whole sign down here. Now I'm not going to be able to fit the word items on there, am I? In those single pixels. That's what the challenge is. Or the word stuff. Maybe. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can get stuff in there. It's going to be very close. But then, can the S be shorter? No. Too close like that. That's to be there as a minimum to give you one space. Not unless we spell stuff with a single F. We fit that on, which is a shame. Without having a wider thing, I don't think we can fit that on in those pixels. I'm trying to think of another word. I mean, item is no good. Doesn't make sense. I wonder what we could do for that. Let's just leave it like that for now and see. I'm trying to think of like an icon, not something that might. Let's just put a little arrow on it for now. Just so we get a sense of the visual noise, I guess, that it creates for the player if it is sat there all the time. So let's get these grouped up. New group for that. Roll, hover. New group for that. Roll. So I want to make the sign transparent as well. Oh, got to do it. You can't do a folder. Complained about this before, haven't I? I mean, it does mean you can independently make these different levels of transparency. So the tape's already transparent. I'm editing the wrong one, I've just realised. Oh no, I'm not. That's the hover one. It's a transparent one, I should be on that sign there. So the paper. Done something silly, haven't I? I haven't been deleting those red bits. I have been painting white on them. Just with those pixels there. So I could leave it like that, where the logo is still visible, but the main bulk of it is semi-transparent. I think that'll work. So we want to slice that out. I think we left just looking to see the same pixel gap between everything. They're going to lay over the top of each other, basically. Well, they should do. So that one is going to be called roll UI. Is that what that one's called? Small roll UI. Roll small. So spell that is our other one. Let's export them both again. So export that one again. File, export. I wish there was a selected slice. That would be handy. There might well be a plugin, because quite a lot of people write plugins for Airsprite, I've learned, since learning Airsprite, because I didn't know it at all before I started this game. There's some quite cool plugins. I used one of the brush ones, I've forgotten what it's called now, scripts somewhere in here. Don't know. Yeah, I've got one there, export slices, individual images, but I think, I don't know if you, oh yeah, that does them all. Yeah, I use that one to cut up all my items in the inventory, actually. I've got a tutorial about that on my YouTube channel as well. Incidentally, I know I don't say enough of this, I'm totally rubbish at promoting my own channel. If you haven't subscribed and you've dipped into this, most people only watch these live streams for a bit. We've got a few regulars who I'm very grateful to. But if you just dip in for a couple of minutes, I'm very, very grateful. But please do, if you can, just leave a little comment. That would be fantastic. Hit the subscribe button because it costs you now, and it's really good for the channel. And then when it comes round to it, I really do hope that those people who are interested in this type of game, love this kind of genre, end up wishlisting the game, because that ultimately is going to be my hope, is that I end up with a Steam game. I'm not looking to make a lot of money out of it, but I'm looking to have a game that would have a lot of people play it and enjoy it, and that's what I'm doing it for, really. I really enjoy making them. This isn't my full-time job. That I get the opportunity to use the community who've come along on this ride with me, and hope that they are going to wishlist it and play it and enjoy it, because that's what I'm doing it for, really. So yeah, please do that. I'm rubbish at doing the whole like, subscribe, comment thing, but please do. Right, export as, so small roll UI, we need to do that one again, because I've now added that little sign to it. Export the other one, export as small, right, trans, add underscore trans to the name. I can't see that, underscore PNG. Right, so we've got both of them out. Let's bring them over here and search for underscore UI, small roll, and small UI trans. Just make sure they're set. So they don't want to be sprites. These have to be textures. So I'm going to set it to default. Make sure alpha is transparency. We don't want a mipmap, because that, I have learned, makes a mess of it all. Good evening, Mike. Nice to see you. Thanks for dropping in. I wasn't sure, actually. I didn't think of this. As I said earlier on the stream, I've just returned from a heavy night out in Manchester for my wife's birthday. Thankfully hangover free, but tired. It was a late one. And then, of course, it's a bank holiday weekend, so I thought I better do the live stream. I'm going to get on and do it, because there's loads of stuff I wanted to show off. There's so much being done since last week. And I thought, oh, the usual suspects, Mike and Chris and Kyle and others, would probably turn up. And then I thought, actually, no, it's bank holiday tomorrow. Everyone's probably, if they're based in the UK, off work and probably having a beer or a nice meal, or going out and doing something, or is even away. So yes, but welcome, Mike. Glad you could make it. If you want to look back at tonight's stream, Mike, there is, because I know you've been on a lot of the different streams, there's loads of stuff. I wasn't clickbaiting people when I said there's huge updates. I've managed to do probably 20 odd hours of work on the game this week. Lots of time to do stuff on the game, and things have moved on. There is a lot to, the first hour of this live stream has just been showing all the stuff that has been done, and how I've done it to a certain extent. What I'm thinking about now is swapping out this UI for something else. I really like the Tesco bag. I really like the stuff idea, but I'm just trying something to see how it works. So I'm going to swap. Oh, I didn't click apply, did I? So we're putting this as a default texture. We're getting rid of this generate bitmap. I mentioned on the live stream a couple of, well, it might have been a couple of months ago. I couldn't work out why some of my UI items were going blurry, as if they were being bilinear filtered. And I was putting this on point, and I was making sure it was all done, but I then realized some of them, for some reason, they had generate bitmap ticked, which was effectively a bitmap is, there you go, bad explanation of bitmapping. They taught me at university, but it was 20 odd years ago. It's when graphics cards have an alternate version of the texture that is effectively filtered to stop aliasing. So it's like an anti-aliasing thing, I think. And then you can swap for these bitmapped textures at different draw distances to stop lots of jaggies happening in 3D games and things like that. And for some reason, some of my inventory items had that on. And just by turning it off and then reapplying these, oh, actually I don't want them compressed either, it fixed them all. So that was it. If anyone's had that problem, that was all it was. Something for some reason had the wrong settings. So these two things, I'm going to swap them out. The background one is going to be the transparent one, and the foreground one is going to be the non-transparent one. So first things first, it's getting crushed a bit, and that's because it's got manual sizing on it. I think that's the only way to do. If I put automatic sizing, that'll be the actual pixel size, which, yeah, if I put absolute pixels, that is incorrect. Unless you can specify it. How big are those? How big are those? Does it tell you? It does. That's handy. 36 by 44. I don't know if it works like this. I'm learning as I go. So if I did it 36 by 44, that is its actual pixels. It's a shame you can't then just lock that and scale it up. I'd have to get maths out, wouldn't I? Because yeah, that's beautiful, but wrong. So let's go 36 by 44. Let's make it double that. So 88 by 72. That math's going there. It still isn't quite, like, it's looking a bit crushed, I think, personally. So there we go, 36 by 2.5 is 90. What was it? I've forgotten what it was now. 44 by 2.5. 44 by 2.5. 110. Right. Still looks a bit weird to me, that. Oh, God, it's because this is scaling here, that's why. So it wasn't sitting in exact pixels. So is that too big? How does that look on screen? It doesn't kind of get in the way, does it? So just for your benefit, Mike, as you are a regular, what I'm thinking of doing, because I've been putting in lots of other nice UI that is like pixel art UI. There's a whole new, if you watch the stream back from the start, there's a whole new objectives and tasks system that's all got nice new UI as well. It's all the stuff I went through. So you get tasks given to you, you get your little writing pad. There's tasks that get dished out. You can click on them and see where you're up to and things like that. So this is all in the name of getting the UI a bit more polished, getting rid of all the default UI so that I can capture a trailer for Steam, ultimately, for the Steam page. So this is one of the things I wanted to do something with the UI, this horrible blue thing. What I might do is when you click the carpet, that it quickly kind of rolls out or shoots out the inventory. I I'm just trying it out because I'm not sure I like the idea. I really like the carrier bag. I think the carrier bag's kind of funny and it's small and unique, but because I want the UI to be this strip, I just kind of talked myself into it about 25 minutes ago midstream. I was like, oh well, I could have this carpet roll, and if it was over at the left it could then roll out and it looks a bit like the menu and things like that. So that is what I'm trying to do, but I don't know if I'm flogging a dead horse really. I'm not sure, and it's still a bit small, so why can't I remember those two numbers? 36 and 44. Write them down with a pen. Good old pen. 36, 44. So 36 times 3, 108. 44 times 3. Maths is my strong point. Maths and spelling, clearly, if you're watching live streams. So 108 by 132. This is all in the name of keeping it exactly pixel, like, correct. Where are we? Inventory button. So 108 by 132. 108, 132. I'm just thinking of the height of the UI and the graphics that sit on it. I kind of want them all to be correct. What I'm thinking is that I'm just going to animate a the roll menu. Do you think, Mike? Yeah, I like the idea that it quickly rolls out and it just visually makes that kind of more exciting. I'm stuck. The carrier bag's a great icon, but then when you open the inventory, it's got kind of nothing to do with the carrier bag, and the carrier bag's got nothing to do with the carpet shop. So I kind of agree. It's more in keeping. It's just whether it ends up looking a bit like too blue. I think this massive blue strip along the bottom, but I think maybe if I'm going to do it, just like all these other things that have got this really nice, I think it's called a buyer matrix, these checkerboard things that pixel art or retro games used to use for shading because there wasn't enough colours in the palette to get the gradients. They would just put less of the dots. I'm cheating and using colours as well as less of the dots. But that, if that was actually across a hand animated carpet that rolled out, again giving myself more work, which is what I'm doing all the time, that might look really cool as long as it happens like that, like it comes out in kind of less than a second, and even if it looked like it rolled out, that would be really smart. So what I might do is, knowing that the whole width of it is like 320 pixels, I might set up just a very basic animation now to test it out. Excuse me, I think my voice is going to give out. It's shouting, singing, that kind of behaviour whilst out last night. This bit, just move to that. This thing here, and let's create a new layer. Get right to the top. What I want to do really is to see if this is going to work. Kind of need to do, even if it's just a really rough animation of it. These I think are 16 by 16 squares. So if I tidy this up, excuse me. Doggy walking time by the sounds of it. Hello, I think I offered to walk the dogs tonight. my wife's birthday. They're barking like they're going out for a walk by the sounds of it. Stick a slice around that, because I've got to kind of know if this is going to work before I hand animate anything. So, inventory roll. This is going to be like a little animation that I'm just going to chop in. Like it's got to be quick. So everything else, all the character sprites, they move at 6 frames a second to give it that kind of slightly jerky retro feel, like the kind of Monkey Island 1 type walk cycles. I could have the UI like 30 frames a second, super smooth with lots of nice drawn stuff, but I don't think it would fit. So even if it's a 6 frame a second, then like 5 frames less than a second for it to go and roll out. So what I'm going to do is create a, no, first let's name that slice before I forget. So I'll call it rollout. 257. Why is that? By 33. I think it should be 256 by 32. Oh, because I've drawn it wrong. There we go. I'm going to say that wasn't 16. 256 by 32. Right, good. That is called roll out. That's going to be the last frame of it, basically. So we're going to create a new frame. Alt-N. No, that duplicates everything. Control and N. No, that does that. I can never remember the shortcut. New frame. New empty frame. Alt and B. Right. Alt and B. So like 5 frames. Let's go with that. The final frame, is it going to be rolled out? So let's just copy that to the final frame and then just go back a frame. No, I don't want to do that. Don't select that. I'm going to make this look really basic just to see if it works. Put it back a bit on that frame. Put it back even more on that frame. And actually the first frame needs to be empty, so we're going to need a 6th frame. So Alt B, move all of them along. So it starts empty, comes out, 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 out. So there are kind of 5 frames of graphics for it. So it wouldn't be a massive pain to draw them because they're just going to have this kind of texture on them. Maybe a little rough kind of, what's it called? Like weave. What's it called? I've said the word weave so much on this. Like that kind of Hessian weave on the back of it. Might be a nice little like thing in the UI. It's like, as you've said, Mike, like more in keeping with what's going on. But for the time being, let's just see what that looks like as that arrives. I'll give it a bit of texture on that final frame. Actually, no, it would make more sense to just texture the whole thing. The way that I do those textures, I get the fill tool, if I can find it, fill tool, where it says no dithering at the top here. This is a sprite. These bare biomatrices, which is, as I said, the way they used to like try and make a gradient when you only had 2 colours to make it from. And I kind of choose the 2 colours, which is usually a lighter version of the thing that I want and a darker version. or if you're just wanting it to go from this to dark, then like the first colour you select is that one, like that, and then the second colour is just something darker in the palette down here. And then when you drag your I need to select the carpet itself. Why didn't I do it the full width of it? Sorry, idiotic mistake here. Let's scale that up so it is actually the full. Oh, I did it because I thought about the shadow, that's why. Second guessing myself. I might put a drop shadow on it, which is why I've left some pixels at the top. So I'm going to select the whole width of the carpet. I'm going on the layer above it. I'm going to lock the one below so I don't mess it up. Get the gradient, and you see when you pull the gradient across, you get this matrix, this biomatrix, which increasingly adds to a pattern more of that one colour. So it's like a single colour that makes it look like a gradient. And you can zoom out, it looks like a gradient. That's how they did it in the old days when you only had an 8 colour palette. So I've been using that effect to make like these kind of things, where then I've been cheating and adding more colours to it as well. So I've been using it to get kind of subtle differences between two colours. So going like that, getting a subtle difference, and then doing some of that, and then kind of mixing them together until you've got like the texture that you want. And then there's a couple of other tools over here. Is it that jumble tool? And you can click, and that kind of, there's like a blur that is, oh, that might be the blur tool that I've picked up actually. Is it blur? No, that's blur. Like the jumble tool then adds other pixels in there, so you just start to get a bit more texture in it. But you just got to be careful it doesn't look too blurred. That's definitely smearing. Blur tool. Actually, that's the jumble tool. For some reason, the pop-ups are not happening on that one. It's the spray tool. I don't know what's going on now. Yeah, I mean, I've used all of these in combination to get like the kind of carpety textures on things. I've been trying to do all of the graphics in Sprite, but the reason I'm doing this is purely so I can see what the inventory items look like against a bit of a textured background, because I don't want to lose the way they look. I don't want to kind of take away from the art that I've done on the things themselves. So I'm just going to have that last frame with some texture on, just so I can start thinking about how it's going to look. Right, let's export this little animation. I think I can do a sprite sheet from her. So export sprite sheet. We're doing a sprite. We want a slice. Does it let you do slices? Oh God, maybe it doesn't. In all frames. You can do this by slice, I'm sure. I'm sure I've done sprite sheets by slice before. That is strange. I'm sure I've done that in the past. Okay, it's going to be difficult. I'll do what I should have done, and let's just create a new one, 256, 32. Let's take everything out of that, and then UI. So all of these frames here, copy them, come over here, paste them into a fresh document. For some unknown reason, it didn't get the other layer. I didn't get anything. What is it? Oh! No, that's the first time that's happened. That was a complete crash of Sprite. Well, there's a first time for everything. Now we'll know whether it does an autosave, won't we? Because I had a few things there that I'd just done during the stream that might not have saved. That was weird. I pressed Control and Z and it died on me. So let's open up UI, then UI, last saved. Right, there you go. Don't forget to save stuff because I've just lost those bits of art. Well, it's the first time it's happened on a live stream in 7 months. That's something at least. I have no idea why it suddenly just closed on me there. There's nothing else gone wrong with the PC. Right, well, I've just lost those assets. They're still available as PNGs because I exported them. But that is a bit of a pain. So let's just quickly try and get to what I was trying to get done here. 256. It didn't like me copying those things from one thing to another. By 32. Right, know what we're doing this time. So I'll just complete the frames we need. Let's just do it any old blue for now, like that. The rectangle tool. That's the full one. We need to leave enough space for the. I need to know the colour of that really. That's the last frame. Then work backwards. Right, so there's our frames. I want to put some quick texture on there. I'll just do it quick. Just noticing the time. Let's use the spray to get some texture on there. I just want to see how the sprites read against a textured background, and then I'm just going to actually pull down the opacity of that a bit. Does it look like in let's just leave it normal. Right, now we're going to save it for one. Save as UI rollout. Get rid of that. Export it as a sprite sheet. Let's do it by columns because that makes more sense. So that's the sprite sheet that's going to come out. So we're doing visible as all frames, whole sprite. Should we trim? Don't need to trim. We'll leave it as it is because I might put a shadow under them. All that's good. Make sure it's going into the sprites folder in my Unity project, into UI rollout, let's call it that. Export. Right, go and get them frames. Rollout. There it is. We use my preset that I always use for slicing a sprite sheet. It slices it incorrectly, but it sets all of these settings correctly. So I'll just go apply. So you've got all the slices, but they're wrong. So I'll go into the sprite editor and we want to slice by cell size because we know what it is. It's 256 by 32 because we did it earlier on. And like, so you've got all your different sprites, pivot for them. Going to come out from the left side, so it might be useful actually having it 0 and 0.5. Slice that, then all the pivots should be here in the middle at the left, so I can kind of left align it. So let's apply that. So we've got the UI now. This is the bit that's going to be difficult. It might be me having to go and have a think about how to do this. As I mentioned probably about half an hour ago when I went down this crazy idea of doing this UI change, this is part of a UI element that is not controlled by Adventure Creator. It is displayed as a Unity UI asset, as I mentioned earlier, and that might mean that I can't trigger this animation exactly when I want to. So let's go to the inventory. I'm looking for the UI canvas. So this is the UI canvas that it all sits in. You can see I dropped that placeholder in when I was starting to think about this a minute ago. So let's get rid of that sprite. So it was set to like black before. What I'm wanting to do really is drop this sprite into this inventory UI item and trigger this animation at the moment that you open the UI. The problem with that, which has only just dawned on me, is I don't think Adventure Creator can drill down into this game object for me to access the animator controller for that 5 sprite animation. So I'm going to have to look at that probably off stream, I would have thought, because I can't, through a standard Adventure Creator action, you can't get hold of the animator controller, I don't think, on that particular asset. But let's just try and get it in. So this is where my knowledge slash dislike of the rec transforms and Unity UI are going to be shown, because I don't think it would let me. What I would want to do, because there's already an image there, so it's got a oh, it's not a sprite render, is it? It's an image. Let's just stick a new empty object here, and let's call it rollout, and add sprite renderer to it, and then go and grab, so we know how big the longest one is, the 4th frame of that, which should be showing there. You see, it's tiny weeny. It's going to be the problem here. The scale. This asset, I think its scale is kind of fairly arbitrary. It's got like a reference resolution, which kind of doesn't mean anything because it scales with the screen size. This is where it's going to become a bit confusing, because depending on the size monitor and resolution that someone's playing the game, the UI needs to stretch to fit. So this is where this could all come unraveling. If you like the pun. This is... I just need to get it looking the right size, I think, and so long as it's not set to bilinear filtering, the pixels should look okay. So we might end up having to scale this to a silly size in order to see it, but that doesn't seem sensible, does it? Can you just set the... Is this the width of the... just the transform, isn't it? So if I set that to 256 by 32, you might ask the question, as I am thinking, why is my 256 by 32 sprite absolutely tiny? This is why I don't like the Unity UI stuff. I don't fully understand it. There is, I think, somewhere reference pixels per unit. 1 pixel in the sprite will cover 1 unit in the UI. That seems sensible. All right. This is going to be silly, because I think this is going to end up being huge. If I do that 100, still not big enough. Let's just see what happens, because it's not... Yeah, it's going to need to be positioned in a weird position as well. So go back to 0, anchor it to the left, hold Alt, click that, and that sets its position as well. I mean, we can all see that hasn't anchored to there. This is why I don't understand I don't want to stretch it. So I kind of want it to probably be about there when it comes out. It's going to come out from, well, again, I hope behind the other sprite, because there's like sprite order to think about now as well. I've made this very confusing. You're quite right, Mike. It's in keeping with the style, but this is the amount of work I've suddenly made myself. This is the thing, you can't manually position things when they're in a rect transform. You've got to position them numerically. So we're just going to have to play this by ear, see what happens. Move this back to here. So this is all just the sprite that I'm lining up to see how big it is. I can already see it ain't big enough. So that is something else that I'm going to have to think about. Of course, it's not going to be big enough because I haven't gone all the way to the edge of that. I should have done the whole length of that. Yeah, so that was silly, but we'll work that out. Next time come on stream, it'll of course all be done. I will have slaved for hours getting it right. But let's just see if we can run this animator. So this is just a sprite render at the moment. I'm going to put, instead of putting an animator controller on there, what I've found recently, create an animation clip of the sprites. So animation clip. Let's call it roll out. Drag that rollout anim onto that game object, and it will create an animator controller automatically. We've only just sorted this out, but because I've done a lot of animation in the last week where I've been animating various things, we should then have this rollout anim there, which if I scrub the timeline, you can actually see it playing back in there, which is super helpful. So if I just go and set rollout anim to loop, what we should see is whenever the inventory is open, I'm hoping I'll just see that going blub, 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 like really fast at 12 frames a second. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be going like that. And then we can work out how we can tell it to open and then turn the loop off. But if I run this and just open the inventory, we should see, hopefully, this animation flickering. And we can't see it, which is fantastic. It obviously isn't. Sarcasm. Why isn't it there? So this is the UI, the black UI and the little buttons that we've just been seeing. But the thing that I just put there is not visible. So why is that? You might ask. Inventory UI. Number one, why are there 3 of them? That's a worry to begin with. Inventory, no, menu, inventory. Make sure we've got the right one. It's that one there. That rollout, why are we not seeing it? Because that black panel is semi-transparent, so you'd be able to see it anywhere. But we couldn't see it at all. Why would that be? Let's just set that order in layer to something really high. And the animator controller for it, and this is locked to Clive at the moment, automatically plays the rollout animation, so that should, in my mind, be playing. And the canvas is a screen space overlay. No idea why it wouldn't be showing. Well, I think we're going to be, oops, I think we're going to be leaving it on a cliffhanger because it is kind of 9:30. And for the life of me, I do not know why that is not there. Just change the... Oh, in the middle of a cutscene. Yeah, I was just trying to see down here by changing the playback size. I was trying to force it to show me what was under this sprite. Yeah, it's not there at all. How strange. I mean, that could entirely be a Unity UI limitation. Seems weird though that you can't have a sprite rendered on it. Might have to look at that one and get back to you next time, because we can all clearly see it's there. It's animating and visible. It shouldn't make any difference if it's at the top of the stack. The sprite renderer is on. It's got no mask. I haven't got a clue. It's not behind anything. No idea. Because the only thing that's going through my mind is if I can't target this anyway to actually tell it to play. I mean, I'll be able to just write a custom Unity script and trigger that custom Unity script from Adventure Creator, because that's easy to do, to just start this animator controller. But for some reason, it's not rendering the, not rendering that actual sprite. I have no idea why. I've just actually made it a child of the panel. Maybe that'll help. I'm clutching at straws. It might be obvious to those who know me. But yeah, it's definitely not showing there. I've not got a clue why. I think I'm going to have to go and work that out. Struggle through working out why that is happening. See you later, Tyler. Oh. I'm also not, so now I've seen him moving about, like I've given him these behaviours to go around the shop and look at things and fiddle with his phone and all that kind of thing. Something I don't like about his left facing. I like that walk cycle, but when he faces the other way and walks, I kind of don't like his face. That was a bit cruel, I know. Oh, there's the objective system popping up again. And he looks cool like this. I like the character as he's playing with his phone and doing those kind of things. But yeah, that walk cycle, not keen on it. Anyway, I'll have to look at that on another thing, I think. Right, I'm beginning to waffle. I've obviously got some kind of problem with that UI element. I will need to work out what is going wrong with that. But yeah, I'm going to try and replace that UI and see how it works. But the kind of summary of today's live stream is that all of those things I went through at the start, they're all things I kind of need to get in place before I capture footage from the game and build that trailer for the Steam page. So yeah, the news is we're gonna stick this out on Steam. I've got it registered now, so I've got the name registered. I've paid the Steam fee for the game, and that just needs setting up that page, and the trailer, the screenshots and all that want to be of the best possible, like, work in progress that I'm at the moment. So that's probably the driver for all of these new changes, the driver for all the work I did last week on it. Is getting all these UI bits done, the task system, people walking about, like nice bits of UI when you pause stuff, so I can do some really nice captures. So that is hopefully what I will get on with next week. I might have a bit more time to work on it next week. So when we come back next Sunday, oh no, I'm not around next Sunday. So there's not going to be a live stream next Sunday because I am away at the weekend, but I will get another live stream in at some point. Hopefully update you on these UI things. And thank you, Mike. You are the first person, because it's the first time I have announced that it is going to go on Steam, that has said will wishlist, thumbs up. That is massively appreciated. If we can just find 10 or 9,999 other people to wishlist it, that would be amazing. So I will, once I get this trailer built, I'll start bringing together that Steam page and show it. Actually, probably on the stream. I know there's some sensitive data on the Steamworks page that I'll have to blank out because it allows people to hack your account and things. But I'll try and show some of the process. If for those who haven't ever put something on Steam, there's a lot of stuff to fill in, and some of it's fun stuff, like about your game and what users can expect and what language, nudity and violence is in it, and screenshots, trailers, all that kind of thing. But there's a lot to fill in, and then you need, I think, like 16 different pieces of artwork, like ones for ultra wide, short ones, store background ones, hero ones. Like, there's loads you've got to do. So I set up a Photoshop document for my last game that was on early access on Steam, Polycity Stories. Go and take a look. It's very, very cheap. It's a few pounds. The first act of that is like £4 or something. I haven't finished Act 2 and 3 of it. This game has taken over my life. I will get back around to Polycity Stories because it is a story I really want to get finished. But that, I set up a Photoshop document which allowed me to create this one main image, and then it would kind of crop and sort out all of the other Steam images. So I'll show that on one of the streams as I start to do the same for this as well. Right, I think that is it. I thank you very much to Mike, to Salhack, anybody else who is watching on Twitch or YouTube and didn't say hello in the chat. Oh, and there is also Chris as well. Hello, Chris. I didn't know you were there. Anyone else who watches this back, then please, please, please do just stick a little comment on YouTube in particular. As this gets closer to the point where I can tick the 60 boxes on the Steamworks page that allow you to post the Steam page, I will be pleading with people to wishlist it. So at that point, you'll know when I know, because I'd like to show a stream of that moment, I suppose, when everything is okayed by Steam and you can launch the Steam page. So we will get to that in a few weeks' time. I have a feeling, and I think I said this a while ago, that whilst a lot of the game is done now, there's still a lot to do in the marketing of it, and there is still a lot to do in, there's no sound yet, there's no music, there's no voiceover, and whilst a lot of the graphics, the puzzles, the logic, the dialogue is getting there, I would say that I'm just passing the 50% mark, even though the majority of the gameplay is in place, because I know there's so much to do to get the final polish to it. So I think I'm going to do like a little retrospective at some point, little short video on YouTube about the journey so far, because I'm really chuffed. It's come a long way. I'm hugely grateful for all the people who have supported and turned up to the live streams and things. So do like, subscribe, comment please if you're new around here in particular, because I do appreciate people throwing in ideas into the pot. A lot of this has come from people in the community. So yeah, long may it continue. I won't see you next Sunday, but I will see you at some point, either later in the week, perhaps on Friday, or the following week, when I will have probably got some more updates done as well. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all again soon. Cheers. Bye.